10 random magic cards. We're going to rate them. It's day 112 in this piece. What's the first card of the day? It's Ambassador Oak over here from Morningtide. This is 4 mana, 3 and a green for a 3/3 Treefolk Warrior. When it comes into play, you get a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. 2 different OK creature types, but I guess it's 4/4. It's 4 PT on 2 bodies for 4 mana. Not bad, but pretty bad. So I guess this is like a yikes. Like a 2.86. 2.86. Really like that 8.6 stat line the last couple of days. Moving on, though, we'll take a look at Swamp. This is a 5. Swamp's good. All basic lands get a 5. Grim Return is up next. This is 3 mana, 2 and a black for an instant. Originally printed and only printed in Magic 2014. Choose target creature card in a graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn. Put that card onto the battlefield under your control. So has to be your turn. By the way, good Seb McKinnon art here, as usual. Like, that's good stuff. But still, this is a neat little card, right? You know, probably can take advantage of a lot of interesting situations, but also probably tends to rot into your hand until it gets just the right chance to get played and you have the mana for it and you don't want to do anything else, you know. So this one is also kind of dependent on what your opponents are doing. So there's a few things I don't love about it, but all that said and done, I don't think that it's going to be super hard to find a fun spot to use this one. And I really like control magic effects like this, like Steal a Guy effects, and this is a pretty cheap one at instant speed. So little bit of a fan. I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to give it a 5. I actually feel like it's been like 17 or so cards since I put a 5 out there. So yeah, sure. I'll take it. Super duper Death Ray is an uncard. We don't look at those. Death Mask Nezumi is up next from Saviors of Kamigawa only. It's got a fun art on it. Good job, Darren Bader. This is 3 mana, 2 and a black for a 2/2 Rat Shaman. As long as you have 7 or more cards in hand, Nezumi gets +2/+1 and has Fear. So you have a full grip, then you have a 3 mana, 4/3 Fear, so it's like slightly harder to block. I don't know, it's pretty bad. It's not good. Sometimes you see cards that have only been printed in one way back set, and you're like, ooh, is it good? What does it do? And like 9 times out of 10, it's kind of not. It's a good example of that. I will give it a 2. I'll give it a 2. Stick with that, man. Let's move on to Frost Titan from Magic 2011. Not the most beloved of the Titans, but a pretty good one. 6 mana, 4 and 2 blue for a 6/6 giant. Whenever Frost Titan becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller pays 2. That's called Ward 2. More or less, right? I mean, it doesn't. The Oracle text is not updated to say Ward 2, but it's kind of got Ward 2. Whenever Frost Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, tap target permanent. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So put a stun counter on target permanent. You can really update this card. This is actually super not as wordy as it used to be, right? 6 mana, 6/6 giant. When it comes into play, when this creature enters, tap target permanent and put a stun counter on it. And also Ward 2. That's not as impressive as it used to be. It just kind of isn't, man. I know it says tap target permanent, but like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a creature unless you're really cheeky and you tap a land with it, which you can do. But we're 6 turns into the game or something, so I'm just not sure how good it's going to be most of the time. But Frost Titan did see some play back in the day. It's not the worst guy you've ever seen, or at least it wasn't in 2011, but it's been, 13 years since then. So I think we may have made some progress. I am going to give this an honorary 5 so as to protect it from the score I really want to give it, man. You have just enough like relevance in Magic history that I think an honorary 5 is warranted and understandable. Because if I had to really score you, I think you might be like well under 5 nowadays, buddy. Frosty, I love you, but really you kind of fallen a ways at this point. Woo, Gray Ogre. You want to talk about a stinker over here? This is 3 mana, 2 and a red for a 2/2 Ogre. That's the whole card. You will sometimes hear me refer to 3 mana 2/2s as Scathe Zombies, and then very often right after Scathe Zombies, I'll say a Gray Ogre. right? So Skaze Zombies. It's a Gray Ogre because it's the same guy. It's just a 3-mana 2/2 vanilla. Doesn't do anything. Terrible stat line. One of the worst imaginable creatures in the history of Magic. Just literally a joke. And in this case, Skaze Zombies has a good creature type. So Gray Ogre is even worse than Skaze Zombies because there's really not much you're doing with this creature type, is there? So this I'm going to give a 1.1. Unique in its low scoringness. What could possibly be worse than this? There are worse cards in the history of Magic. This guy attacks and blocks, Next is a Chroma Angel of Wrath. Oh my god. This is originally printed in Legions. This is 8 mana, guys. 5 and 3 white for a 6/6 Angel Legend. With flying, first strike, trample, haste, pro black, pro red. Attacking does not cause this to tap. That's called vigilance nowadays. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 abilities, and they're all really good. Pro black means no doom blades or effects like that. Pro red means no burn or effects like that. Can also swing through a lot of big flying black and red creatures, of which there are quite a few. So, and if it ever does get blocked by something, it's got a first strike with 6 powers. So, good luck with all that. Swings the moment it comes onto the table, dude, and does so with a vigilance. So it swings through any red and black creatures. They can't even block it, and they can't swing into it the next turn either. Just a nasty card that used to be one of the most reliable reanimation targets in the history of the game, because once it's on the table, it's nearly unkillable. Apart from sweepers and stuff like that. So it may not be hexproof, but there was a point where pro black, pro red basically means do you have Path to Exile? Because if you don't, you're kind of in trouble. So this card still commands a decent price tag, mostly because, it's got some history behind it. There's the secret lair drop one. It looks pretty cool, but I am still a sucker for the original Legions or the Time Spiral Time Shifted. That's fine too, but Legions, man. Just a really, 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 really good lady here. Purple-haired angel, indeed. A Chroma, you get a 6.66. You see what I did there? Because you're an angel, but I gave you the number. But I still think that's actually a reasonable score for a Chroma. 6.66. It sounds about right. I don't think she gets... Back in the day, this would have been a 7.58, even in that territory. But again, I think we've come a long way in terms of reanimation targets and ramp targets since a Chroma was on the scene. So I can't score her as highly as I used to or would have back in the day, but 6.66 is still probably one of the highest scoring cards we'll see in this video, right? So let's move on to Liliana, Heretical Healer over here. This is originally printed in Magic Origins and still commands about $4. This is 3 mana, 1 and 2 black for a 2/3 human cleric. It's legendary. Cleric. It's got lifelink. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile Liliana, then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. If you get to do that, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield, which transforms into Liliana Defiant Necromancer. This is a 3 loyalty planeswalker. For +2, each player discards a card. For -X, return target non-legendary creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. And for -8, you get an emblem with, whenever a creature dies, any creature, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So, again, any creature, your opponents or otherwise, that's a sweet ultimate, but tough to get to, right? You got to actually flip it over in the first place, and then, plus it a bunch of times, 3 times, it stays alive. So kind of a tough ask, but the -X ability on this is quite good. I love that each player discards a card as a +2 on this Liliana. But anyway, the -X again is kind of where it's at. The word non-legendary kind of screws it slightly, but I still think that that's the best ability on the Planeswalker half of the card. Meanwhile, the creature half is really easy to flip over. It's just whenever another non-token creature you control dies. That should happen in a Sacrifice deck, an Aristocrat deck, or even just a Magic the Gathering deck where your dudes are dying in combat. When she does flip, she gets the 2/2 zombie token to protect her, which I think is really, really slick, honestly. So I like this card. I've always liked this card, dude. Didn't do everything I wanted it to do when it was in Origin Standard, but still showed up from time to time. I'm going to stamp Liliana with a 5.478. 5.478 for Lily. I think she is very good. I really do, man. I think that maybe more, and I'm the person that needs to take this advice because I've got 3 different Sacrifice decks built for Commander. Guess how many Commander decks I have built? 3. So I should probably order a copy of this card and try it out. But moving on here to Ogre Sentry. This is just 2 mana, 1 and a red for a 3/3 Ogre Warrior with Defender. So it's not it's not like better than Watch Wolf or anything. We actually see blue cards nowadays that are just like 3 mana 3/3 defenders, and they get to attack some of the time, right? You can like fulfill a condition and they attack. Fulfill set mechanic and they get to attack, you know. This was originally printed in Rise of the Eldrazi and Conspiracy. That's the only time it's been printed. It's because it's been outclassed a billion times by, again, even blue creatures at this point. So let's throw a 1.9 at this duder right here and move on to Game Trail. As this enters the battlefield, you may reveal a mountain or forest from your hand. If you don't, Game Trail enters tapped. You can tap it for red or green. We have done these cards before, so I will move on. I can't remember what I gave them, but I think it was like a 7.25 or 7.5, like somewhere in there. These are very good. These are quite good. But we'll move on to Dauntless Escort here. This is 3 mana, 1 a green and a white for a 3/3 Rhino Soldier. Sacrifice it to have creatures you control gain indestructible till end of turn. This was originally printed in Alara Reborn, and it's still pretty good. This ain't no bad card, really. I like that this is in starter commander decks. It's actually kind of cool. If you get it from the starter commander deck, it is 14 cents, which I think is a very, very good price for Dauntless Escort. I really do. I will give this a 5.1. Doesn't have the best creature types in the world, but that sack ability is still very good. You know, you can't afford a heroic intervention? A little too much? Try Dauntless Escort. It's not bad. It's really not, but Psychic Rebuttal is technically our last card of the day here. This is 2 mana, 1 in a blue for an instant printed in Magic Origins. A lot of that today, I guess. Counter target instant or sorcery spell that targets you. This also has Spell Mastery. If there are 2 or more instant and or sorcery cards in your yard, you may copy the spell countered this way and choose new targets for the copy. So this was in sideboards in Magic Origins Standard every now and again, but I can't remember for the life of me why. Like, I feel like there was a very specific reasons this was in sideboards, but again, it just will not come to me. There was like one specific spell that people wanted to use it against, but still, neat guy. I think that Spell Mastery should come back, man. Spell Mastery is such a cool kind of core setty even like ability that I would really like to see again now that I see it again now. You know, I miss it a little bit. It's just so like magic, you know? Like if you've cast some spells, then you've begun to master spells. Now you can cast better spells. It's sick. That's a good idea for a mechanic that's like flavorful. I don't know. I'm talking more about the mechanic than the card, but the card is pretty decent too. I kind of hope this doesn't rot in your hand forever until it finds a target or something. But when it eventually finds a target, I imagine it's going to be pretty good. Especially by then, you should have Spell Mastery if it's later on in the game. You're targeting the big fireball or something like that. But maybe not. Maybe you're, targeting a Thoughtseize or some other discard effect. And being able to turn that around on them, Judo Flip, and like use their momentum against them seems like that could be a pretty ridiculous play. I like this card. I liked it when it was in Standard. And I just like Spell Mastery. So 4.7. If you get to Spell Mastery it and actually pull it off, it's like a 6, dude. But it's just not going to happen most days. So I'm going to throw 4.6. I want to go down even. I want to go down on this card. That's wow. Choice of words, but still, I should bring the score down slightly. I don't think it's great, but boy, dude, when it rips off, it rips off, baby. So it's actually pretty sick, and it did see some play for what it's worth in Standard. But unique counterspell effects are not always great, not always. But when it hits, it hits. That is everything for today. I will see you all on the morrow. Good luck with the rest of your day. Good luck? That sounds terrible. Have a good time. Have the time of your life until tomorrow. And then let's have even more fun. I'll see you then. Bye.